where they have a list of people not allowed to go to Israel. So now I'm on that list for Israel. Jacob's trouble involves the mark of the beast.
Jacob's trouble involves the mark of the beast, which he doesn't explain. Jacob's trouble, and he doesn't explain the mark of the beast. We're the only ones that explain it the right way.
And all that, where they create laws of sanction, where if you
Has nothing to do with a sanction.
say certain things, they can sanction you, shut down your bank account.
Here we go. All right, Shalom, Akim. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honors, and glories unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Bahashem, Rahak, Wadash. Double honors to my elders and my apostles of Ray Millstone. They're doing their well. Peace and blessings be unto the elect. This is Brother Dawud from GMS Detroit Camp coming at you with another video through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahak, Wadash. And today I want to do another in transit. All right, and today we're going to be going into this video from the Elder Pastor Har, which he's doing a video in response to the video that the elder brother Shakam out of Great Millstone, Detroit did, all right, on this guy, Bishop Nathaniel, all right. And you see the elder's page here on the screen, GMS Acquire Early 2. All right, so please subscribe to the elder. And yeah, now you heard the opening clip, all right, of what Nate is now teaching, you know, trying to pretty much heavily implying that the mark of the beast is a sanction, and that you know, they have these laws where they're going to impose laws to where, you know, certain individuals won't be able to buy and sell because they're pretty much going to, you know, lock up your bank account, preventing you from therefore buying and selling. That's his new, I guess that's his new breakdown. You know, I guess that's his new breakdown. This guy, the scripture says, meddle not with them that are given to change. All right? The scriptures also say a fool changes as the moon, you know, roughly paraphrasing. You know, when you look at the moon, here it is, the moon has multiple different phases. All right? When it grows bigger, it's called waxing. And when it gets, when I say grows bigger, I mean the light. When the light increases, that's called waxing. And when the light decreases, it's called waning. All right? So waxing and waning. So, you know, but the moon doesn't stay the same forever. No, it changes, which is where you get the term the phases of the moon. All right? So, you know, you got individuals that are changing up like the moon. You know? One day you look up, oh, okay, it's a full moon. Next day you look up, oh, no, it ain't full no more. You know? It's no longer completely full. Now some of it's dark. You know? And then so on and so forth. You know, until it's the new moon, which is when there's no visible moon in the sky. So, you know, ultimately, you know, this guy, so-called Bishop Nathaniel, he's just as the moon. He changes. All right? Scripture says, pursuant to 1 Corinthians 15 and 51, it says, be ye steadfast. Bishop Nathaniel was not steadfast. At one point, he was teaching that there was not going to be a time of Jacob's trouble. He did an interview with a man from, I believe it was from Trinidad, which is actually the spirit, because I was actually thinking about that video earlier on while I was at the plantation, you know, and how that, I think the guy was from Trinidad or Jamaica. I want to say Trinidad, though. But the guy was saying, hey, are you telling me there's got to be a time of trouble? A time of trouble? Man, the spirit was on him. He was passionate, you know? And Bishop Nathaniel said, nope, we're just going to la-di-da, then poof, we're in the kingdom. You know, not so many words. But in the Trinidadian, he said, no, this just clearly, there's going to be a time of trouble. You know, he was passionate, you know. When Bishop Nathaniel wanted to deny it, then a few years ago, he said, I did not say that there wasn't going to be a time of Jacob's trouble. If you were listening, you morons, I said that we are not in the time of Jacob's trouble. But then brothers put out the receipts where he said that there wasn't going to be a time of Jacob's trouble. And he's never done a response to that video since. He's never done a response or counter statement, you know, to defend that he done switched up and he done lied about it too. And his congregation, they ain't questioning him about it because they're zombies. You know, there's zombies. All right, if you ever watched the series The Walking Dead is a metaphor for the average person out here. You know, there's zombies. They just all they know is just nothing. They know nothing. I used to say that they're on a low level. Nah, see, these people are not on any level. They're through. That's what the scripture speaks about, gross darkness to people. Right? And even so, that these Israelites that claim to be Israelites, they're still within a state of great ignorance. They're also in gross darkness because they have no clue what's going on. You go to the average member of IUIC, okay, well, break down Genesis 1 and 1. See if they can break it down. You know? Tell them to break down a holy Bible. What does that mean? What does holy mean? What does Bible mean? You know? Tell them to break down, it's the King James Version. Why was the King James Version, why was it made? What happened? How did it come about? They don't know. You know? But they can tell you, husbands, love your wives. Yeah, don't forget your fringes. You know, the scripture speaks about, in Ezekiel, the 13th chapter, it says that these leaders, they haven't prepared the nation of Israel to stand in the day of battle. They're not telling you what's going to happen. They're not preparing you for the time period of Jacob's trouble. They're not preparing you. So when it happens, you're going to get caught like a dude with his pants down, with his proverbial pants down. You know? Because you're going to be caught in unawares. So now, Bishop Nathaniel, he's saying that the mark of the beast apparently now, is them putting sanctions on you and or prohibiting you from buying and selling by way of restricting your bank account. What? What does that have to do with going into your right hand or your forehead? What does that have to do with that? And it says that no man may buy or sell save he that had the mark. So in order for you can't see this. See, you hear this? You got zombies that are here. What Nate said. Con. You know, how can you say that the mark of the beast is sanctions, and or the mark of the beast is them restricting you from being able to access the money in your bank account, when it says, all right, that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark? So you can't say the mark is them taking away your access from your bank account, but then it says that those that have the mark can buy and sell. So are you telling me those that don't have access to their bank account, which is the mark of the beast, according to your new wacky breakdown, are you saying that those that have the mark, aka have lost access to their bank account, will be able to buy and sell? See, it don't work like that. All right? It says that those that don't have the mark won't be able to buy or sell. But then it also says those that have the mark, they're going to be able to buy and sell. Revelation 13 and 16, he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor. And then he had the nerve to say a few weeks ago, pursuant to the scripture, where it says small and great, big nations, little nations. It don't say that. It's talking about people. And he calls it all, small and great. And who is the he? The he are these damn international bankers, all right, beginning with their chief house, that being the Rothschild family. There's a reason why Bishop Nathaniel doesn't speak about them. There's a reason why he doesn't speak about this so-called New World Order. There's a reason why he doesn't speak about the chip. Because he's under that 501c3. Now, when you look up that 501c3, it's a gag order. It's a gag order. One of the things that they can't speak against is the government. You can't say that the government is doing nefarious things and that there's a conspiracy. You can't say that under that 501c3 tax statute because it's a gag order. And when you look up when that 501c3 started, it goes back to that president, that demon, Lyndon B. Johnson, which his middle name B. The middle name B was for Bain, all right? Lyndon Baines Johnson, which the word Bain means death, all right? I believe it means death, all right? And he was a devil, But anyways, it was instituted in order to put a gag order on the church, you know. So here it is. Bishop Nathaniel has a 501c3 tax statute. That's why he's not able to talk about certain things. Talking about the Anti-Defamation League has him, on their list. And you got that silly. That's what the scripture says. These be they that lead about silly women laden with diverse lusts. That black woman there, that's the silly woman. She's doing this interview. When you watch her, she has her chest literally on the table, literally. Bishop Nathaniel, at least he's a few inches away from the table. No, she's all up on the table with her breasts out. And guess what? She's married. She got a ring on. But when you watch it, she's all googly-eyed looking at Nate. And that's why when you watch this video, meaning the Elder Pastor Har's video or the Elder Brother Shakum's video, you watch it, you hear her cackling. As soon as she asks him, well, are you so big that you're on there? Are you so dangerous that you're on the Anti-Defamation League? Then she starts cackling. You watch the interview. I'm telling you, you're going to see it. She's all googly-eyed. The scripture says, "Sit not at all with another man's wife." So Bishop Nathaniel, you was going off there. It's for someone that speaks about the law, the statutes, the commandments. What about what the scripture say about not sitting at all with another man's wife? All right? Moreover, the scripture says if she will learn anything, let her ask her husband at home. So he was going off again. So, see, it just shows you this guy's a hypocrite. Anyways, let's go on and play a little bit more.
Okay, and they do the country, we see the country, but they're going to make it.
This will be said back in 2014. It's not talking about people, it's talking about countries and companies.
Yep. And then recently, what did he say? Big nations, little nations. With that fake theatrical cult of personality voice. He doesn't really talk like that. It's all a cult of personality.
Big countries and small countries. Mm-hmm. Rich countries and poor countries.
Bishop doesn't say that. And notice Bishop Nathaniel never says who that he is. Who is that he that is causing all to do this? All right. Aaron Russo spoke about the C-hip. All right. Amongst many other different, so-called truthers. They talked about this digital all that these devils want to implement. And the scriptures say the same because it's prophecy. But Bishop Nathaniel, again, he can't speak on that because he's under that gag order from that 501c3.
And he never read to the 17th verse where it says, when it's mentioned the word man.
Nope. Yep, because it says, and that no man might buy or sell.
No, individuals. If you say certain things, like in Canada, you're not allowed to read the laws of homosexuality, where God says, a man should not lay down with mankind as he does with women.
Because the focus is not in Canada. The focus is here in America. Because you can say that it's wrong for a man to lay down with another man in America. Why? Because the focus is here in America. You have no business being in Canada. Now you have certain groups up there that's teaching, but really the focus, I keep saying that, the focus is here in America.
You go to prison. That's what's going on in Canada now. These laws is going to cover everything.
Now you got...
So now he's saying, see, he keeps switching up. Now I guess the mark of the beast is the laws that they're going to put into effect that'll restrict your access to your bank account. So that's the mark? Okay, well, how does that go into your right hand? How does that go into your forehead? And if the mark is then restricting your bank account, again, how can an individual with the mark buy and sell? In other words, how can an individual, all right, that has lost access to their bank account, which according to you is the mark now, due to these laws that they're going to put into effect, right? How then can they buy and sell? It doesn't make any sense.
GMS camps up there, they ain't getting locked up.
Where they're going to forbid us to teach the Bible. In France, we had a school in France. They shut the whole school down. Okay.
So how are you going to reach the elect in France? I'm pretty sure there's elect in France. How in the hell are you going to, get to the elect in France?
See, he talks himself into this corner, but then he tries to be slick and tries to slither out of the corner, but it don't work. He just ends up contradicting himself up and down and speaking himself into a hole. All right. So yeah, you can check out the rest of the Elder Pastor's video. You know, he's alive right now. You know, and you can also check out the Elder Brother Shakam's video as well. All praises, honors, and glories be unto Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem, Rahakwadash. The one honored by Apostle and Elders, very millstone, they do it ever well. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the members of the elect, right? The hopeful elect, and the 1/3. With that being said, Shalom. Barak Wa Akim, if you listen. Shalom.